Blog Talk Radio. Welcome to the Aha Moments radio show for the inspiration, education, and celebration of enlightened living worldwide with your host, Mariana Cooper, founder of Aha Moments International and AhaMomentsWorld.com. Tune in for the next hour and learn to trust your aha moments to lead the way to live a passionate and purposeful life. And now here's your host, Mari.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Aha Moments radio show for the inspiration, education, and celebration of enlightened living worldwide. I'm Mari, and happy Tuesday. We have so much going on, so today is a really good day to learn some unusual, unlikely ways to give your energetic frequency a boost. And this is what we will be talking about today. I'm going to give you 5 of my top ways. I was, over the last few weeks, I've been really thinking about this topic a lot, just because we've been launching a lot of different things, and one of the things that comes up in my private sessions is how do I keep my frequency up, or how do I give myself a frequency boost during the day, so I can keep myself in alignment with what I'm trying to manifest. And, we're always manifesting something, right? Whether it's just we want to have a good day, have things go smoothly, maybe have a smooth commute to work, or, get along with our spouse or our significant other in some sort of resonant way, to have our kids be happy for the day and all that type of thing. And what happens is when we get kind of into our mental mind and get sort of into the analysis of things, we start to try to control it, right? We start to try to, I don't know if you've ever done this, but I know I certainly have, where you just start to have imaginary conversations in your head, and you say, okay, when I see that person, I'm going to say this, and if they say this, I'm going to say that, and if they say that, I'm going to say this. And when you do that, you start to really fire hose your frequency. You literally start to just hose it down. And you're also using the very potent energetic field that is available to us 100% of the time, whether you know it or not, whether you are, engaging with it consciously or not. It is on 100% of the time. Every day of the year, never turns off, and it's always neutral. So it's just doing as you command. And so can you imagine you're having these pretty awful conversations in your head, doing all your worst-case scenarios, preparing for the worst, hoping for the best, and you're literally commanding the grid to give you the worst. So as you become more familiar with the work, and as you become more focused on putting your frequency first and managing your frequency first before anything else, you will see that you start to engage that energetic grid, our electromagnetic fields that we have around us, to program in the direction of what you want, to create circumstances in the way you'd like them to unfold. So while we're doing the formal alignment sessions that we talk about, and you're doing your visualizations and meditation and these types of things, you have what we call the in-betweens, right? You want to keep your vibration high, you want to keep your frequency high, or give it a boost. Just like you would have a snack at 3 o'clock in the afternoon to give yourself an energy boost, you want to do that from a frequency perspective too. So you're going to give yourself, you have your physical body and that energy, and then you have your energetic frequency, right? So today we're going to talk about a few unlikely ways. Most people look at that and say, okay, well, I have to go take a vacation, or I have to go and sit and meditate for a full hour, or I have to, go take a full yoga class or something like that to raise their frequency, or do what they perceive as raising their frequency. And there's some other things that you can do that are kind of unlikely, things that you wouldn't necessarily think of or associate with this, that when you do, it gives you, a broader toolkit to pick from. And they're actually pretty pleasant and fun, and can fit into your day pretty nicely. So we're going to get into that in a few minutes. And a couple of other announcements. We have 2 things going on. Tomorrow, we have a lot of people who listen to the show who are actually quite advanced, because and when I say advanced, I mean you kind of over the basic angel things and, finding a parking space with your intuition and all that, and you want more. You want to get deeper into the work. You want to take a deeper dive. And so I have a pretty thriving community of I call you advanced light workers. And we have a special class that's actually starting tomorrow called Personal Alchemy for the advanced light worker. And it's all about doing your own alchemical processes, really basically bringing things from an energetic form into matter, into your physical world, and really getting deep into those processes and how to do that. And they're really relevant for modern times. We're not talking about going back into the, ancient times, but working with our current state of energy now, our current energetic grid, really getting into things like creating electromagnetic fields, being able to magnetize things to you, really understanding the transfer of energy into matter, and then practicing on 2 specific projects that you'll pick at the beginning of the class. And we're going to work on that for 4 weeks. So the class starts tomorrow. And last week I had closed registration, but today as I was preparing for class, I heard my guide say, announce it on the radio show, because clearly I guess there's somebody who's going to listen to this who should be in the class. So I'm going to give you a link. This is not on my website. You can email me at support@ahamomentsinc.com to get an email. I'll email you the link, but I'm going to tell you the link and my spelling or something. It's support@ahamomentsinc.com is where you can just email us, and we'll send you the link via email as well. But here's the link. So it's http://bit.ly. So it's a bit.ly. So we do a link shortener, bit.ly/my-alchemy. So MYALCHEMY. So it's bit.ly, bit.ly, there's a dot in there, okay, /my-alchemy, MYALCHEMY. Okay, so it's a 4-week class. It's already, got a nice group of people in there, but it will also be recorded and we'll have replays. So if you can't make the actual classes on Wednesdays, you will be able to listen to it at your leisure after the class is complete. So really, really, really powerful course. I channel all of these. I only teach them one time, and then they kind of go into our vault. So I'm excited about this one. I was experiencing some of the channeling earlier, and I think it's going to be a really, really good class. And again, it'll be very hands-on with you picking your own projects to work on. So that's announcement number 1. Announcement number 2, I am now accepting, I've opened up 12 spots for our Frequency First Mastermind, which is a much bigger coaching. It includes private coaching, group coaching, and our Summit by the Sea retreat. Access to that retreat for, I think you get like a 25% discount on our big retreat that we have. We'll have it in May of 2018. And there are people registering for it who went last year who loved it. And that Frequency First Mastermind is an invitation application only program. So some who are already in the program will get invitations, which will make up some of that 12. But I also am opening up to new people to apply. Now, most of my people who are already in it re-up. And some people go through 3 rounds of it because they enjoy it and they like the progression of the work. But I do want to have some, offer a few spots for 2018. I'll start in January, and I'm taking the applications now. So if you'd like an application, please email us, again, at support@ahamomentsinc.com. I don't have a link in front of me right this minute. support@ahamomentsinc.com, and just say Frequency First Mastermind information, please, and we will get that out to you so you can fill out the application. And then once you do, if you think you'll be a good fit, then you'll do a quick, like a 15 to 20-minute call with me one-on-one, and we'll talk about the program and see where you're at, what you want to accomplish, and all that kind of stuff. All right, so that's the second thing. And then the last one is, have you taken our quiz yet? You can go on Facebook and on our Aha Moments International page, and the quiz is there. Also in the description of the of today's show, bit.ly/frequency quiz. So we've had hundreds of people take this quiz already, but and I think it's been getting good feedback about it. So if you haven't taken it, it will definitely help you to see where your energetic frequency is at and what you can do to boost it. Okay, so that's bit.ly/frequency quiz. All right, so there's a lot going on, and let's go ahead and get back to our topic for tonight. Also, I'll be taking some questions. If you want to call in, you can do that. Did they change the number, Sam? 917-889-2626. So it used to be a different number. So it's 917-889-2626. Maybe that's why. Oh, that's interesting. Okay. I was like, wow, that's kind of interesting. Okay, I have to make sure I change our all of our different emails, because I've been putting the wrong phone number in. Wow, I don't know when that happened. All right, so anyway, so the number to call in, if you want to call in and ask a question, if you're online because you couldn't get in on the other line, is 917-889-2626. Okay. So let's talk about these 5 unlikely ways to give your energetic frequency a boost. Now, when we say a boost, what does that really mean? It just means that what you're doing is, if you do, what I always start off, you want to start the day off with some sort of formal live session. So whether it's an alignment session, and you can actually get a recording of that alignment session from our Frequency Booster Toolkit, which is $11, and it's advertised with the quiz. So if you take the quiz, you'll see that come up. And I have an actual recording in there on exactly how to do an alignment session. That's one of the things in the toolkit. So you might want to make sure you get that, because then you can get the step-by-step. And so you're going to do a formal alignment session in the morning, and then and I always tell my students to do alignment sessions, 3 times a day if they can, because that way what it does is it gives you, like, you do a third, and a third, so you re-engage your frequency, right? So you do the first alignment session, and you're basically aligning with, what it is you're desiring as far as your manifesting is concerned. Then you start your day, you get on to, regular life, and then let's say around noontime after lunch or something, you do another alignment session. They don't have to be super long, and so you raise your frequency again, and then you go through your afternoon or whatever, and then maybe before you go to sleep, you're going to do another alignment session. It's just like, again, it's like, just reconnecting with what it is you're desiring, and so you're again re-engaging your frequency, right? Because life happens. You have your circumstances going on throughout the day, and your energy goes up and down and up and down and up and down. So if you don't attend to it, it's like your blood sugar dropping, right? So each time you eat, you should also think about, I'm raising my physical energy. Here's a really good tip. When you sit down for a meal, know that you're fueling your physical body. Take a few minutes to fuel your energetic body, okay? Take a few minutes to align, to do that alignment session again. And then from there's some other things you can do. Okay, so that's your basic skeleton. Is you're going to do your alignment session in the morning, then you're going to do it again around lunchtime, and then maybe you can even do one at 3 o'clock when you have your afternoon snack, and then you can do one after dinner on your way to going to sleep. Okay, so however you want to do that, but you want to make sure that you're addressing your frequency throughout the day. This is what we talk about when it comes to frequency first. Okay, put in your frequency first, always considering the frequency of situation. And you can even ask yourself the frequency of what you're going to eat. Is this going to be a high-frequency food for me, or is this going to be a low-frequency food for me? I love dark chocolate, and actually dark chocolate times a day, eating at the right times of day, can be a frequency booster, but it also can pull you down depending on where your energy is at and what your physical body is up to. Sometimes it is something that's just what you need. Just a little, square of dark chocolate is just that little pick-me-up. It feels a little decadent. If it feels decadent and if you feel light about it and feels joyful to eat it and you feel, like it's a nice little treat or a nice luxurious moment or whatever you want to do, that's a great way. Then it's a frequency booster, okay? If, however, you're eating chocolate because you're stressed out and you're reacting to something and you're anxious and you're trying to, like, numb out, that's when it actually tanks your frequency, okay? So remember, everything in universal energy is neutral until you personally assign meaning to it. So you want to be in touch with this. This is why it's so good to be fluent in your intuition. Because what happens is you're able to discern these things. You're able to ask yourself the question, okay, higher self. You can even ask your body, what would you prefer right now? Or you can ask your higher self, what would be best for me right now? What would raise my frequency the most? When you do that, you will get intuitive answers. You will receive, information back. So a few things that you can do in your in-betweens, in between your alignment sessions, okay? Some of these things, you can do them as formally or as informally as you wish, but all of them are really excellent for boosting your frequency. And remember, I never ask you to do anything I haven't done myself, and I have put all these into practice in my own life, and many, 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 many clients have had success with this too. So the first one is to play. And why do I say that? And what do I mean by that? When I say play, I mean to stop adulting, okay? Just stop it and take some time out to do something fun for yourself. So like I said, this can be something that's as simple as, getting out an adult coloring book or just letting yourself take 15 minutes just to color. It could be something like, playing a board game of some sort, playing a video game or a game on your computer. Mostly, going out and flying a kite, going out outside and playing with your dog or cat or whatever it is. But making sure you give yourself a little bit of time to play without trying to metabolize the day during that playtime, where you're just literally giving that inner child energy, where you're giving yourself some breathing room. Remember, children have the highest frequency of anybody because they're present. They're in the present moment. They don't have a lot of shields and blocks with their emotions. They allow their emotions to flow. When they're upset, they cry. When they're angry, they tantrum. And when they're happy, they jump up and down, and they're happy. And when they're content, they're quiet, and they're sing-songy, and they're content. There's a purity to that. And as we get into the complexities of life, and we start that whole adolescenting and adulting, we get further and further away from that, right? It's important to watch kids, watch how they allow themselves to just be in a moment, right? You say, oh, well, that's because their parents are paying their bills and they have to work. But believe me, when you start to give yourself some time to play, pick up a hobby. I know I dance, and sometimes my dancing is play. A lot of times it's just annoying because it's getting ready for competitions, and there's a lot of complications and all of that. However, actually today in the studio, one of the guys is a different teacher than my guy. He was in the studio, and he was talking about old Janet Jackson videos, and they were talking about doing a show and bringing back a medley of Janet Jackson stuff, which is something that I had done with my fiance before he passed away. So that was kind of strange and wonderful and eerie at the same time. So it's been a long time, but it was like, oh my gosh, would I really be involved in another Janet Jackson medley? Because I want to do this kind of old school stuff. So anyway, this guy, he's really funny. He's really, really funny. He's like the clown of the studio. He starts doing the Janet Jackson videos in the lobby, and I couldn't help it. I took my shoes off, and we started doing Janet Jackson videos in the lobby. It was complete play. That's it. We were laughing, we were joking. The studio receptionist was hysterical. He was like, he was dancing. He was just off the charts. He was so funny, and he's a character. He's such a character. And so we just played, And of all of the stuff I had done for the day with the dancing, that was definitely, I felt so light after that. And I felt nostalgic, and we had a good laugh, and it was just a release. It was just mindless fun, right? But it's a frequency booster. I felt really good walking out of there. So it's going to be, for the second half of my day where I come to work and do the show and then have clients and whatnot, I'm in a good mood. It was a great boost. So allow yourself to have some fun, whatever fun means to you, the fun of your understanding, okay? It could be trying a new recipe. It could be, going out and playing ball with your kids or on your own, go, hit some tennis balls, whatever that is. But let yourself relax. Let your frequency have a chance to bubble up. Because what you're doing with the play is you're creating resonant energy. And what we mean by resonant energy is it's energy that you push out onto the grid. It's how you're resonating out to the world. Remember, the grid, the energetic grid that interconnects with all of us is electric and magnetic together. So the electrical is your intentions, your thoughts, and the magnetic is your emotion. And the more you can have positive, joyful, or at least peaceful emotion, the higher your frequency is and the easier it is to maintain. So you don't have to be like, I hear a lot of people say, I have to be joyful and perfect all the time. And perfection is not high frequency. The idea of perfection is not high frequency because energy is always moving. It's assuming that there's a static state of perfection, and that's just not what you want to do. Is have as much consistency as you can, dynamic resonance. Okay, allowing yourself to resonate. And when you resonate in a state of joy, in a state of peace, in a state of playfulness, like, I had a playful time with my dance partner today, and then I hang out with the other guy, and we had some playtime. It was just fun and laughing and blowing off steam. There's a resonance so that when I got to the Whole Foods and ordered my smoothie for the afternoon, like the cashiers were super nice, and, and the people, gave me their parking spot, and somebody took my cart for me and smiled, have a great day, because you're resonating that energy, then you start to see your circumstances very quickly, especially in this energy and especially when you do this type of work, start to reflect back, right? So whatever you put out and you resonate with, that what you're sending, it starts to reflect back. Now, normally it can take, if you're just starting out, it could take, anywhere from 3 to 60 days, and you'll be getting circumstances that are in alignment with what you were thinking, most dominantly thinking, over the last 3 to 60 days. And so you want to be careful because this stuff compounds. We have a tendency to be very habitual thinkers. We have to think the same thought over and over and over again, especially if you're worried about something. You start persevering. It's like you start asking these questions, is it going to work? Is it going to work? Am I going to get images? And then you start to see like everything in your life starts to go like get slower or jammed up, and all kinds of worrisome things start to happen, and they start to compound and compound and compound and compound because your thoughts are your thoughts are repetitive, right? Plus you have a lot of charged emotions, fear, anxiety, guilt, shame, blame, all those things spinning. And guess what? You're throwing all of that intention out onto the grid with negative emotion. And so your resonant energy is low vibration, and that's what you get in response. So then you have people cutting you off on the road. You get the road rage guy. You get a parking ticket. You stub your toe. You run into something. You break a glass, all that type of thing. When those types of things start happening, stop and pay attention. Don't go into victim mode. Oh, my gosh, I can't believe another thing today. Oh, I can't believe the world's against me. No, ask yourself, what's my resonant energy? What am I worrying about? What is it? What am I repetitively thinking about that is now reading out in the field and causing these things? Okay? So you have choices. So play is the first one. The second one is one of my happy places is take a nap. So unlikely way to boost your frequency, but taking a nap actually re-engages you with your energetic self. So if you take a cat nap, 15 minutes, just close your eyes for 15 minutes, let yourself just settle. Your energy settles, and guess what? Your higher self gets to take over for a little bit, and it reconnects. You can also program that nap, just like you would program a dream, where you can, drink a little bit of water before you take your nap. You can write a question down, I'm kind of anxious about this. Can you give me some insight on this in my dream state? Or as I rest, and then you can take your nap. And when you get up from your nap, drink another half glass of water or so and go on with your day. And you'll feel refreshed physically, but it's from an energetic perspective, you've reset. Okay, you've stepped back into your pure potentiality, because as you sleep, all of your systems sort of settle down. Your higher self has its way with you in the sense of, you really move into your energetic self. You go into deeper brain waves, and you're more receptive, right? So it just settles things down. So taking a nap, and it can be 15 minutes, 20 minutes. I personally like hour naps, but I can get up and still function after that. Some people, 15 minutes is better rule of thumb. I know there's all kinds of science on how long a power nap should be, blah, blah, blah. I go with what my body desires. So, and I don't get to take a lot of naps, but it is something like I noticed that over the weekend I actually did take a nap, and it was like I felt so much better. And especially if I had to do a lot of writing or planning of something, I always take a nap before, and it just rebalances. Because, one of the other things that happens when you wake up is you don't really know who you are until you remind yourself. Like you wake up and you have to reorient. And you wake up and you're like, okay, okay, where am I? Okay, I'm in my room. Okay, good. Okay, who am I? And you remember who you are, and you're like, okay, what do I have to be stressed out about today? What was going on? And you start to recall from your past, which was yesterday, your problems. And you start to think about, okay, I got to fix this. I got to deal with that today. Okay. And you actually are creating your day from that point. That is the most powerful time to create your day. That's why they say that you should do your alignment work and your, other types of meditation and stuff at very early morning, because what you're doing is you're programming your day. So you can reprogram your day by taking a quick little nap. So that's a great frequency booster. The third one, unlikely way to boost your frequency, is by saying no. I love this one, and it's really true that a lot of times what happens, one of the ways we get lower in frequency is when we feel we don't have control over things, or when we feel like we don't have any power in a situation. A lot of people are like the other people to be pleased with them, right? People pleasers. We all have a little bit, a lot of us have a little bit of that. Not everybody, that's for sure. But the idea to be able to say no is one of the biggest frequency boosters there is, because what you're doing is you're setting an energetic boundary. And that is saying I'm important. That is saying I'm worthy of this, this space and this spaciousness. And it's creating a resonant energy of confidence and focus and setting that, keeping people in their proper place in your space. It is extraordinarily empowering, and thus is high energy. It boosts your frequency exponentially, because when you do that, and you're saying, what your resonant energy is saying is, I have high expectations for myself. And you put that out on the grid. I have high expectations for myself. And I only allow those into my space that are in alignment with that. And you put that confidence. Don't matter as much as the energy, the emotion behind it. And when you put that confidence out on the grid, you put that knowingness, you put that I am worthy and I am powerful, and I said no, not allowing that. Nope, not doing it. That spins back magnetically to you, that resonant energy. You will find that people have so much more respect. People are polite. It's kind of interesting. People take you seriously. They don't say, "Oh, give me a break. What are you saying now?" They say, "Oh, really? Okay. Huh, that's interesting. Could you share more with me about that?" Okay, so saying no is a big one. Really, really powerful way to boost your frequency. Now, I'm not saying be a pain. right? But definitely you'd be surprised at how much lighter you feel. And that's what you're going for. When we say boost your frequency, what is it supposed to feel like? Well, you feel lighter. You feel more expansive. You feel centered. You feel on point. You feel they're kind of on even keel, right? You might feel more joyful, blissful. You might kind of go into those higher register emotions, elated and effervescent and all that type of thing. You may just feel content. You may feel relieved. You may feel reassured. Okay, reassurance is a wonderful thing to ask for, by the way, when you're, when you're in working on your manifesting project. All right, so the fourth unlikely way to boost your frequency is smell the roses. And what do I mean by that? Well, the scent of rose actually has one of the highest megahertz of scent. But in fact, scents of all of the floral scents out there. I learned this from the Young Living Oil people way many years ago. That's why rose oil is very expensive because it's one of the highest, has the highest frequency as far as scents are concerned. And I know in the mystery school they use rose incense. Nag Champa, Nagchmpa, has a rose comb. They're called droop combs, DROOP combs. I don't have any kind of affiliation with them. I just use their stuff. And their rose scent we used to use they use in a lot of temple work and stuff in the mystery school. And it really, if you want to create a sacred space, their rose incense is unbelievable. Really, really high frequency. So when you smell roses, whether you treat yourself to your own bouquet, or you put some rose oil on, or you add some rose water to your bath water, or you use the rose incense, you are boosting frequency. So your senses, especially your sense of smell, which also then resonates into your own frequency, rises tremendously. Okay, and one of the other things, other little treats that I use, and I just love this stuff, is rose tea. I drink rose tea, and actually rose tea helps tremendously with getting clear intuition. It has. I get this. There's a product called Tulsi tea, and again, I shouldn't be calling these people to sponsor the show. I'm not an affiliate of them by any means. Just like the product is Tulsi, TULSI. It's a Indian tea, East Indian tea, but they sell it in Whole Foods, and they have a sweet rose flavor, which is for magic and miracles and whatever they associate it with stuff. But that stuff with some agave is so good. And then you have the little piece of dark chocolate. That'll boost your frequency. Trust me, it is fantastic. And actually, before I go into my meditations, because I do an hour in the morning, and my various energy work, which I do quite a bit. I do way more than an hour of energy work a day. But one of the things I will do is have that rose tea with me. In fact, I just reminded myself I went to Whole Foods today, and I didn't get another box, and I have one bag left. So you need to get it. Just go out and get it. And when if I take a hot salt bath, and I do, sometimes I'll do a rose bath, right? So I put rose water in, and I have rose, I put sea salt, Epsom salt, rose water, which is cheaper than rose oil. So if you're going to buy the $70 bottle of rose oil from Young Living Oil, you might want to just use that for your body. It's medicinal grade. But you may not want to, start putting that into, bath water. So rose water, which is, $10 a bottle or something like that. Get a good grade of it. But, yeah, that gives you that's enough to do for our purposes of what we're trying to do. So you want to allow yourself to sort of experience that scent with the intention of boosting your frequency. Now, all of these things obviously could be very non-frequency centric if we don't assign that meaning to it. But you want to, as you're doing any of these practices, you want to say, to set an intention. I'm boosting my frequency. My intention for this is to raise my energetic frequency and my resonant energy. Okay? And then the last one that I'll mention, this is a zillion of them, right? A zillion of them. But the last one I think I'll talk about is candles. And it's really, really easy to, there's a couple ways to use candles. There's certainly, all kinds of formal candle, work kind of thing you can do, but that's not really what I'm referring to. The candle is a wonderful thing for focus. And they have little small ritual candles, but they also, it's funny, on Facebook the other day, and I said, this is genius, somebody was using birthday candles for their meditation candles, and they burn for about 20 minutes, which is the perfect time. The ritual candles burn for like an hour, so it's a little bit longer. But they're shorter, right? They're smaller, and so then, and they come in all different colors, and each color means something. For boosting your frequency, I would use blue candles, okay, blue or white. There's all sorts of other reasons to use other colors and stuff, but for purposes of what we're talking about, the color blue and the color and white. You can never go wrong with the white one. Will do the trick. And all you do is light it, and you just sort of stare at the flame. You do that for as long as you want. The longer you stare at it, the more you get into a transient state, and you start to switch over from your physicality into your more frequency, your energetic frequency version of yourself. And that, of course, then gets you, it's a kind of a purification tool. It just sort of settles things, and it allows you to center. It allows you to get present, okay, which is a huge thing for boosting your frequency, because you're just getting to a state of oneness with yourself, and that gives permission for your frequency to rise. And remember, it's magnetic. So doing any of these practices will go out into your energetic field, which is interconnected with everybody else's energetic field. So if you're at the mall, you've got, 1,000 people in the mall, and you've got 1,000 energetic fields, auric fields interacting with each other on an interconnected energetic grid. And when you have all of that going on, whatever your resonant energy is going to be amplified on that grid. It's funny, I was in Whole Foods the other day, and there was this lady in front of me, and I could tell from her body language she was rip-roaring mad. And I was like, do I want to? And it was just her body language. She was going through her wallet, and she had her stuff on the conveyor belt, but she was just, she was just standing there. And I was like, oof. And before she had said a word, she was just looking down when I got there. She didn't say anything to me. She didn't even really look at me. But I was like, oh, boy. And I literally took a physical step back, because I was like, whoa, she's, right? And then one of the guys, the cashier, started talking to her and asking her, how he could help her. And she starts yelling at him, and she went off the rails. And she was throwing her stuff around and everything. And I was like, wow, you see? Before she even said a word, I could feel it's just this big wall. And then because I was a customer and she was going after their workers, she kind of looked at me to, as support. Like, sometimes people want you to kind of gang up on somebody, and I just kept myself. I pulled my arc field in. I literally, in my mind's eye, just saw my energy, which was, hanging out. I wasn't particularly protective, and I wasn't particularly all out with it. What you can do in those situations is you can telescope your energy back towards yourself. So I just saw my arc field go and just sucked it in. It was like pulling in your stomach. You just pull in your field so that you don't have to be of that. You can be in it because you're on the same line with the person, and you can have, compassion. You can, even if you're really brave, you can send them love. Sometimes you don't. Sometimes you do. With her, she was just being mean. I wasn't into like going into work mode, start sending her energy. Forget it. I just was like, okay, let me, I was like, I have other things I have to do. And that's how you can also keep your frequency to mix and mingle with others in a disempowered way. No matter what, you're always mixing and mingling, right? Because we're all connected to these energies, right? But the way that you can circumvent sort of, unpleasant scenarios like that. And certainly what could have been a big brouhaha, where, if I had engaged with her and started going off on the cashier with her, nothing had happened, because sometimes people do that because they like to be, powerful over people they perceive to be, weaker or in service positions. It could have gone, off the rails. But you can choose to pull in your field, your auric field, and understand. In my book, The Aha Factor, you can read about it. We talk about the length of the auric field and the bullseye of energy. There's a chapter on that, and how, what your auric field, how far it goes, and how you can, telescope it out when you're trying to be bigger, when you're trying to influence a situation, and pull it in when you want to maintain your frequency. If you're going to do all this work to keep this frequency up, and you're in between alignment sessions, and you're between the 12 o'clock alignment session and the 6 o'clock alignment session, and you want to keep that energy up so that you're manifesting your things that are transferring from energetic realm into the physical realm. That's that alchemy we were talking about earlier. If you want those transfers to continue, it's kind of like you want to keep your bandwidth even. So like if you're buying on iTunes or, one of the App Store, Google apps or whatever, when you purchase that thing, then it has to download, right? And so you have to wait for that little circle to go all the way around until it's fully loaded in. Well, if you lose your power, what happens to that download? Does it keep going? No, it stops, right? If the phone turns off, if your phone goes dead, it stops. If there's something wrong with the signal, that download stops. It's the same thing with your frequency. You want to, when you do your alignment sessions, and again, if you want to know how to do that, just get our Frequency Booster Toolkit. And it's right in there. When you do those little alignment sessions in the morning, or any kind of visualization or meditation or whatever you're doing to center and focus intention, you set into motion. It's like buying an app and waiting for it to download onto your phone so you can use it. Okay, so you know what you bought. You know how what it looks like, how it works, and whatever. Now you're waiting for it to load in. As you're doing your frequency work, you're doing your intention work in the mornings, and then you're allowing it to load in. I would say I'm hesitating at saying the word waiting, because then that means that you're arrested development until it comes. I don't want to imply that, but you're allowing it to load in. Okay, because you don't sit holding your phone, looking at the app load in and just do nothing, right? You're staring at it. Oh, there goes the circle. Oh, okay, I can't do anything else. I can't be happy until this app is all the way on my phone. I can't be in love. I can't be joyful. I can't be abundant. I can't be anything until this app loads in. No, you don't do that. You go on with your life, right? As you're allowing this thing to load in. Well, it's, so in order for you to not have any blips in that download, so you don't have any drops in the signal, you have to keep your frequency as even and as high as possible. It's gonna be like you having, huge bandwidth on your computer, like really, really fast speeds on your computer, versus a very, very slow speed on your computer. Okay, where things start buffering and then getting all jammed up and then, disappearing altogether. Okay, so this is why you want to have a whole toolkit of ways to boost your frequency. And you want to be monitoring your frequency throughout the day, because you have things that you are interested in manifesting, whether it's just a really wonderful dinner with your husband or wife, or, and I say just, I don't mean, something simple like that, to, getting the career of a lifetime, or getting a new account, or, something more complex, buying a new car, whatever it is, whatever your thing is, healing. You want to keep that frequency as even and as high as possible. Because when you start to go up and down and up and down, we all have friends like that, right? You're feeling good, you're feeling fine, and then get on the phone with a friend who is absolutely hell-bent on demanding mediocrity in their lives. Like, no matter what you say, they always have an adversarial position on it. They always say, oh, well, that works for other people, but it would never work for me, and all of that, and you just tank. And what are they looking for? They're looking for you to talk them out of it. Of course you're talented. Of course you're beautiful. Of course he loves you. Oh, come on. Of course you know that. Oh, but look what he did before. Oh, look how pretty you are. Oh, look. And what they're doing is they're looking to start to, like, breastfeed on your energy. And it's true. And what you want to do, what is that going to do? That's going to tank your frequency if you allow it. That's why, saying no and just nicely excusing yourself from the conversation. I was like, oh, wow, I'm so sorry to hear that. Oh, boy, that sounds complicated. Whoa, that sounds really complicated. I believe in you. I know you'll get through it. That shuts them down every time. I have done this, and it works every time. It's like, oh, I believe in you. I know you'll get through it, especially with what I do for a living. I have people calling me on a casual basis, and they want to, like, breastfeed. And I'm like, no. I get paid for that. I'm not doing that on my free time. I'm so sorry. Not that I won't be there for a friend, but there's a limit, right? So you stop. You stop it. You stop the train. And you say, you know what? Remember, everybody in your space, whether it's your friends, family members, coworkers, whatever, they all have a higher self just like you. They all have God and energy and Jesus and whoever else they have, angels and God knows what. They have access to everything you have access to. So don't feel like you have to take them on or take on what they're demanding of you, because you, quote, know more than them. A lot of times people hear this stuff and they try to teach other people, and they start to, but they're not, like, professional at it. So you start trying to teach this. Oh, I heard this on this podcast, this show, and oh, you should do this, and the person starts to combat them on it. And then what does that do? It tanks your frequency, because here you are trying to be nice and explain something to someone, and then their skepticism, and they're coming into it out of context, and it pulls your energy down, right? So these are the types of things you have to pay attention to. Because then you have something now to overcome. You don't just have your own normal stuff. Then you've got so-and-so's boyfriend problem or so-and-so's work problem or whatever problems they have on your back as well. No. That's where the no part comes in. Okay? Doesn't mean you're not going to be compassionate and kind. But what I'm talking about. It's when it gets on overdrive, that you have to set your boundaries and say no, with the intention of protecting, maintaining, and elevating your own energetic frequency. All right? So hopefully that's been helpful. And again, if you want to learn more about this kind of stuff and really take a deeper dive, join us for this personal alchemy class. I'm excited about this. This is the type of thing that we'll work on in there. All kinds of good stuff. Plus it's channeled, so who knows what else is going to come up. Always something that I don't expect. All right, let's take a question or two. And if you'd like to call in and ask a question, the number is 917-889-2626. That's 917-889-2626. So I believe, Sam, if you're ready, we have Tanya on the line. Hi, Tanya.
Hi, Mari. How are you?
Good. How are you?
I'm doing well.
Good. What's your question?
My question was in regards to where I'm working full-time right now. The job where I'm at can be a bit overwhelming at times, a lot of work, and I feel like I'm getting underpaid for my work as well. The environment and energy feels dense and heavy, and I feel like I'm using a lot of my energy just to keep me sane there and try to have my own space. So my question is, how do I keep my frequency high when I'm feeling energetically and emotionally and mentally drained?
Have you given yourself permission to leave?
Permission to leave as in looking for another job?
Yeah.
It's been on my mind, but I have this feeling that I'm supposed to...
Just wait 1 second. So before you tell me the feeling you are supposed to, or you think you're supposed to do, Your intuition, if you're feeling emotionally, physically, energetically, drained, and it's been on your mind to leave, that is the directive. Now, I'm not saying you have to go and do that right now. I'm just saying that's number one, is that when you give yourself permission to explore options outside of there, you'll be amazed at how quickly your frequency shifts. Because now, without changing anything, without changing the people, without changing any of the circumstances from the outside, what you're going to start to do is create a sense of power from the inside. One of the things, I'm sure it is negative. I know what it's like to work in those types of jobs. But what makes it worse, what makes it really negative, is that you feel victimized by it. You feel like, okay, I get in here and I have to hole up. I have to hold my breath to get from one end of the day to the other. Remember, breathing deeply is one of the number one ways to receive energetic information, because spiritual wisdom travels on the molecules of oxygen into your body and embeds in each cell. That's how you get that sense of knowing. So if you're going into a job and you're already tensed up, you're holding your breath, I'm sure you're breathing very shallowly as you're walking around that job, because you're like, okay, waiting for the next shoe to drop. Oh, God. And you find yourself, every so often taking a giant deep breath for all the shallow breaths that you've been taking, right? And so, So what I'm saying is that as you give yourself, this is something you can do totally on your own. This is not about going there and tell this one that, and tell this one this, and do that and do this. The first place to start is I give myself permission to see what else is out there. That a lot of times can actually ease the situation that you're in, because now you're not assigning a meaning that it's this or nothing. It's, same thing with people who are dating. You're in a relationship with somebody, you're going through growing pains, you're worried about this, and you finally say, you know what? He's the only one for me. He's the only one for me. Oh my God, how am I going to survive without him? And you say, you know what? I would survive without him. And I wonder what else is out there. Not that you're going to go cheat on the person or go date somebody, but maybe you go looking online or something like that, just so you can say, oh, I'm here by choice. You're always there by choice. And you can always choose to move along. All right, so you were going to say something. I stopped you, though, because I want to keep you very cleanly in the empowered part of the frequency. It's not going and manipulating the situation that you're in. It's about changing your own resonant energy, and that situation will start to soften on its own, right? That coworker who's a total jerk all of a sudden leaves. They just leave. They get fired, or they walk out, or they get married, or they're relocating, or something. They said, I'm done, or whatever. You'd be amazed at what happened. The company gets taken over, and you get a whole new management team. You never know how that's all going to unfold. But I can tell you that it will do it the fastest if you change your own self from within, and you give yourself permission to be happy regardless, because okay, I'm here by choice. This fits into my plan for now because it's a gig for now, but I'm going for a bigger plan, and give yourself permission to focus in that direction. Does that make sense?
Yes, it does.
So go forth and conquer. Taking care of yourself, and one of the things here, you can use some of these ideas we talked about today, but it feels to me like you've been kind of low energy with your self-care. Like you haven't been really, because when you get in a job like that and you're in a spin and it's very demanding, you don't even have time to nurture yourself, but this is where you need to. It's been a little bit difficult. Yeah. Turn your phone off. Take a hot bath or a really steamy shower, put the rollers oil in there, give yourself, small frequency boosts throughout the day. Obviously sometimes you just can't stop and take a big vacation or go, go out to the beach or anything like that. So these small little things throughout the day will add up. I'm going to have to jump off, but I hope that's helped.
Yes, it is. Thank you, Mari.
You're so welcome. Have a great afternoon or evening. Take care, Tanya. All right. So, she had a really, I can totally understand what Tanya was going through, because, and this is very, very normal to feel like when you're in a really demanding situation, there's nothing you can do. But one of the best things you can do, and I'm glad she brought it up, is to assign a different meaning to whatever situation you're in. And one of the things that one of the things that we kind of get caught in is that we don't have any options, and you always have an option. There's always an option. You may say it's not necessarily an easy option, but that's when you can call on the angels and guides and, God of your understanding, Jesus, whoever it is that you feel connected to, and just say, can you please provide me with ease? Can you please provide me with, clarity? Can you please provide me with reassurance? Can you please provide me with relief? Right? And you can even go into, or you can say it a different way. You can program for that. You can say, I'm going into my intention. Today's intention is I feel more relief today than I've ever known. Or I feel more reassurance today than I've ever known. Or feel more, joy than I've ever known. Okay? Whatever, fill in the blank, than I've ever known. And you put that out into your field as you get up in the morning. And you'll be amazed. And if you maintain your frequency throughout the day, and you don't have to be perfect, by the way, for this to work. Perfectionize this. I say, 60%, and you're going to have some really nice results. You get up to 75, 80%, you have to feel miracles happening. You don't have to be exactly perfect. Of course, sometimes you're going to have that bad conversation, or you're going to get anxious and angry or whatever. Don't sweat it. Just release it. Let it go. But, reframe things for yourself. Reframe things for yourself. You can even say no to yourself in that, no, I'm not going to let myself go down this rabbit hole. I'm going to pivot. I'm going to go in this direction. And that's saying no to a habit structure, right? So I hope this has helped, and I hope that if you like this kind of work, that you'll join us for our advanced stuff starting tomorrow. Again, it'll be on replay. If you want to join us for the alchemy class, it's bit.ly/myalchemy, ALCHEMY. And if you're interested in our mastermind, please email me at support@ahamomentsinc.com. So we will end today with my motto, which is, you truly can have exactly what you want. You absolutely deserve it too. And in this new and ever-changing energy, anything is possible. Take care, everybody. Have a great, great night.